Hello, my name's Derek. I'm a web developer, and this is part of a series where we're going to develop a website from scratch using WinterCMS. In the previous two videos we looked at things like the discovery process and the design process. And now we're going to move this into where the bulk of the work is, the development part. This will run on the assumption that you've already got WinterCMS installed on your system, and we'll follow along from there. If you don't have it installed, I've got a video on how to do that, and I'll put a link in that below. Let's take a look at what we've got with Winter. We've got the demo page up here and running, and as we scroll down through, it sort of breaks down the different parts of Winter and how it works. And yeah, so we have layouts, pages, partials, content blocks, placeholders and assets. It also comes with an Ajax framework, which is quite handy for. It's a simple calculator that does updates and then puts them back into the browser. I'll leave you to sort of go through all this, and the next page it goes to is talking about plugin components. We can create your own plugins, which we'll be doing that at a later stage in this series, and you can add those into your project. So all in all, it's a very comprehensive system. Providing you've got your database and all that sort of stuff installed, you should be able to get access to the back end, and the back end sort of looks a little bit like this. Next up is the CMS, which is set up for the demo theme. What we've got here to start with is a bunch of sort of pages which have been pre-configured. There's a 404 page, the demo Ajax page, which we saw before, an Error 500 page, the demonstration home page, and a demo page for plugins. We'll just look quickly at the home page. Notice here, if we click onto that, we now have an edit window over here. The title here, demonstration, the URLs all fairly explanatory. Home, it's the name of the file name. It's been given a layout of default, and in here is the markup that's available. Also next to the markup is a tab for code, which in this case is blank, but we can add PHP into this. It's all quite a powerful setup. Next along here we have partials, where we can sort of set up different types of partials for the site. So we have a footer and header. They can just be pulled into the layout page. I'll bring across to layouts here. We have a default layout, which as you can sort of see here is sort of like a basic kind of layout. Typical HTML. We've got title, meta tags, links to an image, links to style sheets and that sort of stuff. Bringing into the body, you can see our partial, so our header which gets pulled in there. This page variable is quite important. That's where all the content will end up going. And then we have pulling in a partial for the site footer, and then of course right down the bottom of the body part of it, we're pulling all the JavaScript stuff, so jQuery, Bootstrap, all that sort of stuff is pulled into here. And where it says framework extras, pulls in some of the WinterCMS framework stuff. And in scripts, of course, that's our extra JavaScript. The tags get pulled into there. Styles go in there. Once again, we'll deal with the stuff in a lot more detail. After layouts comes content. Here we've got some stuff, placeholder content. This is content that you can actually inject into a page. This can be incredibly useful. This is just done as markup. You'll notice here it's using Twig as the template engine, and this becomes quite useful. And here we have our assets. In this case there's assets in less. So obviously a bootstrap thing. We have fonts in here, all the different fonts that are being used, pulled in. JavaScript, of course, app.js, which has some jQuery stuff built into it. Yes, still uses jQuery. And we have our images and vendor. So that's the way the assets are set up. And finally, we've got our components. Our components come from our plugins, and in this case is a demo from Winter, and you can just grab plugins and push them into pages. If you inhabited the WordPress world, components are probably similar to shortcodes. Next over here we have media. Surprise, surprise, this is going to be very, very empty at the moment. But as you can see, Winter comes with quite a nice little media manager, which can become quite handy when you start adding bits and pieces into your website. And finally we've got settings. As you can see from our settings, we have CMS settings, so we can set the front page theme, or the front end theme rather. Put your site into maintenance mode. We have in the system one, plugins and updates, administrators, customize the back end, editor settings. So all the stuff is all completely customizable, and you have you can do all sorts of things with the editor. Mail templates, mail configuration, mail branding, all that sort of stuff for sending out messages. And of course events logging and access log, and setting up which logs are going to be useful in your to know about. Completing the bar at the top, we can get a preview of the website, and we can also move into the admin or your particular account. So you've got all your stuff you can do with your account. Change your name, password. You can also add other admins as well. So we've got our administrators here. I can add new accounts into here. These users here are generally admin users. There is also a users plugin which is quite useful, which is completely separate to this, where you can set up different users, and they have no way of getting into the admin part of your site, so great for a bit of security. We'll move back to CMS, and I'm going to go to pages and go to the home page. Now we've got all this sort of showing up on here. Let's jump over to our code editor and have a look at the same thing. Here we are in VS Code, and you'll notice, we'll just quickly go through the file structure. We have a .github, so for when you get stuff. Bootstrap, booting up the application, so we have the app PHP and autoload. So as you can sort of see, there's a lot of familiarity if you're used to Laravel. We have a config folder with all our config stuff in here. We can also have a dev folder and a testing folder. You can have config sort of set up for different environments, which is quite useful. This one here, Laradoc, this is one I've actually imported into the project because this runs using Laradoc containers. Modules folder is for all the stuff that sort of keeps the Winter system sort of running, so all their system files, their backend, CMS, etc. are there. Plugins, at the moment, plugins just has a Winter plugin for the demo. This is where you put all your custom plugins. Storage, if you're used to Laravel, storage, obviously where you put your temporary files, your media files, all your logs, all that sort of stuff go into storage. Test folder for writing tests. Themes. At the moment there's just one theme installed called Demo, and then we've got the vendor folder, which if you're used to Laravel or any kind of composer applications, this will be quite familiar. Moving into our themes, you'll probably remember the folders in the back end. We've got assets, content, layouts, pages, and partials. So much the same kind of process being followed here. Now, what I'm going to have a look at is our home page folder. Now, I've just jumped back to the web-based back end, and we're in the home page here. You'll notice here the file name is home.htm, layouts default, title is demonstration, URL is set at the slash for home, and we have our markup here. Back in our code editor, we have home.htm, and you'll notice these bits up here. Title called demonstration, URL / and layout default. You can define various options and things up here, and if you've used something like Jekyll, this will look quite familiar. And this is our HTML down here. It's the HTML for the page itself. One thing you'll notice is missing are, of course, the header tags and all those other things. Where you'll find them is in the layouts, just layout default and default.html here. This is our description for our layout. There's our title, there's all our meta tags, everything here, and this page variable is what pulls in everything from here. So all this stuff here becomes page. Winter uses a mixture of flat files and content from databases. So that means themes become quite a big thing. Winter uses a mixture of flat files and content from databases. So that means themes become quite a big thing. If you're used to things like WordPress or Drupal, themes are really just skins to skin your content. Whereas with Winter, it's actually more than that. Your content is actually in your theme as well. Acme Constructions is going to need its own theme, so let's make one. Easiest way to do it is from the back end. Click onto our settings where it says front end theme. You'll notice here we have a demo theme. We can install other themes, but we're going to make our own. So here we go, create blank theme, give it the name, Acme theme for Acme Construction, author, that's me, no it's not, it's an imposter, that's me, website. Bit of shameless self-promotion there. Create that, and we now have our theme. Let's activate it and see what we've got. So going back to localhost. Page not found. Why is it so? We can see that by jumping over back into code and seeing what's happening. If we go to our themes folder, you'll notice here there are now two folders here. There's the demo one from Winter and Acme, which is the one that we've just created. If we go into there, assets, blank, content, blank, layouts, blank, pages, blank, partials, drumroll, blank. There you go. That's why nothing's happening. What we need to do is create some pages. So let's do that. Now if we go to CMS, you'll notice here everything was all blank. So it was populated with pages and partials and layouts and everything before, but not anymore. So let's create a page. Go add, new page title, page, URL, we'll just make that the home URL. Layouts, we don't have any layouts, haven't created any layouts yet, and let's just create home page. Save. Template has been saved. Now if we refresh that, there we go, we've got our home page. Now one of the first things you need to do is set up a layout. So let's do that. I've jumped back into VS Code again, and I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to call that default. No, hang on. Let's not do that. What I'll do instead is start it in the October back end. So if we click on layouts, add a layout, give that the name of default, description, default, help if I could type, and there we go. And in here we'll just call this why is it doing that? And we'll call that layout. In here we'll add a component, page, save that. Let's go back to our pages. We've got a URL and layout. We now have a default layout ready. Okay, so we've got H1 home, save that. Let's see if this has worked. There we go, we've got the layout coming from the layout and home coming from that particular page. Now we'll jump back to VS Code and see what's happening in there. So we have home HTML, so we'll just get rid of that because that's in the Acme thing. We can reduce that folder. Oh, sorry, we've got the demo, we've got Acme. There's our layout. You'll see here is description. Then we've got the document type, page, H1 layout, so we can probably get rid of that because we know that now works. Save that, and the layout's gone. So you can swap between the two. Alright, to save you from watching me painfully type things out, Just going to make some changes here. So what I will do is grab some of the stuff that's useful from the demo that we've got. I'll just copy the whole lot and we'll just paste it in. Now what are we going to be using? Keep the title. What I might do is change that around a bit. Construction, you're not going to get away from painful typing. Description, we'll leave all that. Author, I'll take that out. The generator as well, I'll take that one out. We'll leave the icon in there. Actually, we'll comment that out for the time being. We'll come back to that at a later date. Assets vendor, assets theme. I'll change that to style because we're going to tend to use that as my thing. Styles, yep, leave that there. Header. We're going to get some errors here. I'm going to change that section to main and class equals main. Footer, we'll give a class footer here too. We won't be using Bootstrap. We will need jQuery because the Ajax and everything all depends on it. And we've got our page here. Okay, what have we got? Bunch of errors. Okay, what are they saying? You know, partials and things like that. Yep. Alright, okay, so partials theme, so let's go back to our demo. Let's just grab that folder and put that in there and change this. Alright, something you'll notice here. There's some PHP already built in here. And that's something that's kind of handy. We have a nav bar already sort of set up here. We'll just leave that at the moment because I'm probably going to completely change that at some stage. And this is the footer thing. I'm also going to add a class of. I won't need that. Let's just leave that at. I've messed that up, haven't I? Oh, here we go. We'll just leave it as is. Okay. What have we got now? Beautiful. So this is our end result. We have a toggle bar, title. We've got got a menu here. We just have home as our home page and some footer stuff. Also up here we have home page, so the title of the page and the Acme construction, so you can kind of see how we've sort of altered this a little bit. Now it's time to set up the structure of our site. We need to have a think about the content and the pages that we're putting up there. We've got a mixture of kind of static pages, but we've also got a mixture of pages with dynamic content as well. So we need to have both. We've also got a blog. It's a nice little plugin called Static Pages, which is quite handy. What it does is, well, as the name implies, it does static pages, but it also has a menu manager and a content manager, which means we can edit things using a nice little sort of WYSIWYG editor. Makes things nice and super simple for a client. We could use the built-in editor that we've got here, but what this means is editing HTML, which is fine for us developers, but for clients it's probably going to take them a lot more time. What I'm going to do is install the Static Pages plugin. So first thing we'll look at is the settings, and we've got updates and plugins. At the moment all we've got is the demo plugin. There's a couple of different ways of installing things with Winter, exactly the same as in October. Now we've got plugins. We can do a search, and now there's the Static Pages by RainLab, so the October one. There is one that's been ported over to Winter, and that doesn't appear to be in this list for some reason. But never fear, we've got another way of getting around that. If we check Winter's GitHub page, we'll see here there are a list of different plugins and modules and what have you that we can add into it. And the Pages one, here it is, does in fact exist. So let's just, in fact it was updated 12 hours ago. So what we'll do is we'll just install it using the command line. Looking at our back-end menu, we now have a Pages option up here. We click on that. We now have option to add some pages. We have a menus one, which is going to be quite handy, and also content. What we're going to do now, so it's very important to sort of familiarize yourself with the difference between Pages and CMS. They actually do touch the same files, but they do them in slightly different ways. The Pages one uses the inbuilt text editor that comes with Winter. In here we have a new option here. We've got our Pages icon is turned up. Now in that, if I click on that, we've got Pages, we've got menus, we've got content, and we've got snippets. So there's nothing there at the moment. Now if we go to CMS, we'll notice we do have one page. We have a home page. Now the difference is going to be, this is where your dynamic pages are going to go, so under your CMS, but your static pages are going to go under the Static Pages plugin. So I'll add a static page. This one's going to be about us. No layouts to be found. We need to fix that up. The way to fix that is to go back to our CMS and go to our layouts, our layout here, and we need to add a component. You notice here there's a bunch of different components. We've got a Pages component. So What I'm going to do here is grab the static page layout, click that, and that now updates the default layout. Now if we move back to our editor again, we'll just have a look at the default layout and see what's actually changed. So default HTML, we've now got this little component here, so static page. This should, if all goes well, we'll just go back to the page again, is if we now go back to our pages and our About Us page, we now have access to the default layout. Excellent. We'll save that. We'll do meta About Us and construction. And we'll do a meta. We are a fictitious who can't spell. Fictitious. Probably best you don't see my typing. We'll save that. Let's go back to our that's the default HTML. Get rid of that. Okay, what we've got now under content, we have welcome. No. Well, looking in the demo folder. Let's go back to the proper folder. I don't live in an Instagram world. I have flaws. We have an About Us HTML. Then we've got here. If we look at that, there's actually nothing in there at the moment. This view bag thing sort of pulls in stuff off the database. Now we've got the title is About Us, the URL, the layout, we've got the navigation. You'll notice here the meta title, About Us, Acme Construction, the meta description is here. You can actually change these in your editor as well. It's actually incredibly powerful. Moving back to our editor, we've now got an About page here, which we can, you'll notice here we've got a nice little sort of WYSIWYG editor that we've got access to. And this is the About page. We'll save that. Now, let's see. About Sue's not going to be found. Of course it's not. There we go. This is the About page, so it's all working so far. Let's have a look at our text editor and see what's going on. So on our About page, you'll notice here we've got our text here, so this is About, and we've got all these other bits and pieces here, title, URL, etc, etc, etc. So where this lives, we've got the content folder, and there's a static pages part, and all our static pages will live in there. In our CMS part, we've got our home page. Now we can put these together in a menu. In our back end, under pages, we've got this menus option, and what we've got here, we'll just create a new menu. I'll just call that the main menu. And here's a nice little thing you can do. You can add items into it. So we can actually start searching. So home. Yep. Home page. So we can do the home page. Apply that. And we'll add the about page that we've. Here we go. Static page about us. Apply. We'll save that. We now have a menu. Let's make our menu visible. Okay, so we go back to the CMS part of it, and in our partials we've got our site partials. In the header we have a menu in here. Let's get rid of all that and pull in our menu. I'm going to jump over to code. It's easier to do it, I think. Right. Just going to get my bearings. Partials header. Okay. I'll keep the container. Get rid of all this stuff here. Get rid of all these things here. And we'll save that. Okay, so this hasn't updated. We'll just close that and grab the getting back to the menu. So over here we've got that here. Alright, components, static menu. We've got a static menu here. It's linking to the main menu. Excellent. We can add a component. That component's name is static menu. Add our closing tags. Save that. What have we got? Home page, about. We now have a functioning menu. Excellent. Alright, we've got that far. Let's now flesh out the rest of our site. So we'll go back to our home page and let's put in our pages and then add them into the menu. Alright, we're going to have, we've got an about page already done, taken care of. We have a projects page. That's going to be our dynamic page. I'll give that the default layout. File name is projects, and I'll just put projects. Save that. We're also going to have an employment page, aren't we? So that's going to be dynamically generated content. Employment. Also using the Contact us. What's that going to be? It's going to be a mixture of dynamic and static. What we can do there is we'll make it a dynamic page, and we can pull some static content in from this content part here in the future. Yes, let's do that. Okay, so contact. Contact us. Contact page. Save that. Time to pull these into the menu. Back to our pages. We're already on our main menu. We've got the About page. Hang on, that's pages. Click on the menus thing. Main menu. That's more like it. So we've got Home, About. We'll add a contact page. Yep, let's found that. Add our employment page. Do a search for that. Yep, let's found that. And our projects page. Apply. Okay. Save all that. Let's have a look at our site now. Now we're coming along. Homepage, About Us, Contact Us. I need to do something about that. Employment and projects. While it's fresh in my mind, let's fix the Contact Us one. What's going on here? Probably doesn't have a title, so we can just change that to Contact Us. Save that. And refresh. There we go. We're in business. That's where we'll leave it, I think. What have we done? Just do a recap. We have got our WinterCMS sort of up and running. We've installed a plugin. We've sketched out a skeleton of the pages, and we've also added a menu. It all looks a bit plain and not very exciting at the moment, but we'll start adding more to that stuff as it comes along. So thanks for watching, and like, subscribe, comment, all that sort of stuff. And in the next one, I'll look at making this look a lot more presentable. At the moment it's very plain. Well, we'll add a bit of pizzazz to it, shall we? Until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.